Cave incident. Come on, let's go for the key for our cave. Is that a cave? Yes. Since we're really experienced, it's pretty hard to do it, but since we are very experienced cave divers, we can go in here. Alright, let me put my helmet on. Alright. We have to really goodly hold our breaths in this one, because we don't have any tanks. The cave was like a nice and small cave, and they always went on this cave. It was really easy, and plus they were experienced divers. This cave had a small air pocket, and they were dividing groups. Group number 1, they will go together. The first person will go there, and the more experienced person will go through this tiny hole to reach another air pocket, which you see here. After that, they would spin back around, go squeeze through this bit, and then go up to the surface. There are a lot, but however, there are more paths in this cave. And yes, of course, they were a bit too overconfident because they expected. This is more of a slippery limestone cave. The limestones are the most dangerous bit. Little did they know, however. Anyways, let's start. Alright, let's start. I'll go first. And so did he go first. It basically started with this. It was a nice warm day, and the water got colder, more deep when you went. That did not happen. Tim and Bob would win. The first diver, aka the best, was Bob. There were a tiny drop as well. Bob then went in the water. But he already faces first. Why does this keep happening? Why does they keep breaking their necks? Anyways, that also did not happen. Tim went first in the water. This cave was for experienced swimmers only. They had this extremely tight and really hard to go in, but there was no panic. You had to go really fast through the water to go to their pockets. Tim, however, the first problem happened. Tim already had an injury, but there was no problem yet. But that did not stop him. He was still calm because you have. Tim already starting to struggle a bit, but still holding his breath. His lungs already feel that they are about to explode. But luckily, he successfully reached the air pocket. Oh, my lungs were about to burst. This is still the normal time. The torches, however, are not needed. This is still the normal time. Only when it comes back from the back. is when Bob comes. Tim relaxes a tiny bit before going back to cave diving. He takes a final deep breath before going back through the cave. Now, the most hardest and difficult part ever. And this part is a really dangerous part where you have to go through this part of the cave. You can barely even fit in. And you literally have to make your body literally straight. If not, you're getting stuck there. However, Tim already successfully passed it, and he finished. Okay, I'm going back. Alright, when shall I start? When I'm back. Alright. Tim, however, wanted to explore the whole cave and kept it as a secret. Tim was also as experienced, but he was a bit overconfident. A bit too confident. He went the normal way, but at higher speed. He went the normal way, but at even slower speeds. But a bit slower speeds. Because he really wanted to look everywhere. Because he loves this cave. Yes, he did. He was here before. But he really wants to explore the unexplored cave. Because he's already pretty bored. But he's still pretty slow because he likes it. But still, as usual, he goes where he was supposed to the air pockets. And relaxes up there. There's a bit of thing. Alright, I'm in the air pockets. Great. But little did he know that this was the last message Tim had ever heard from Bob. Now Tim went back in the water after taking a really deep breath. But then, without knowing, he takes the wrong. He wants to see this. A dangerous chamber which is locked and not allowed to go. You are not allowed to go in this chamber. Plus, there's no air pocket in here. And he could barely even fit. However, it was no problem. But the part when going out gave him an injury. But he always had injuries, so he did not care. He went back out and then went through the cave. No routine place, new place. His time, however, is already up and he's already expected. But he takes the wrong turn because he thinks that this is another way that he never went, though. But little did he know that he goes in the dangerous dead end, which you cannot even get out. There is also no air pockets, but he does think that there is one coming up. He's already running out of air, and he already feels like his lungs are completely about to burst. But he still keeps going, extremely tight, before he gets stuck. He repels back, however, but then kind of bashes his head. And then pushes through so hard that a rock falls down. The rock, however, the force made him lose his helmet for protection. Actually, no. Anyways, the rock fell on him. It did hurt. He fortunately scraped himself. He kept pushing. Went to the point he pushed so hard, but as if he was stuck, but he was not. He twisted and pushed himself to the limestone area, the unexplored area. But the rock fell even more, making another rock falling down, and this rock made him completely. Și-am schimbat ora. And the second rock also left. He realized that it ended. He tried his best to turn. He tried, but then he realized something wrong. Back then he could easily go and there were no rocks. The ceiling was a lot lower. He felt even more because he couldn't see behind him. But then he broke his part of his back. But he had no more time. And now he was drowning. In the other end, above the waters, Bob was starting to be a bit worried. Little did he know that his worry made sense a lot, because his fellow friend was having a hard time. Bob then immediately jumped in the water without no plans. He did remember the cave that that no one planned him to go in, and he always knew that he would have definitely went in there, Bob, but Tim knew he went in there because he was not coming out any more sooner. However, little did Tim know that Bob was literally stuck there because the rocks were literally unmovable because they wedged themselves. In the normal place, yes, without taking any breaks. But his lungs weren't about to explode because he was zooming. He had no injuries. Then he went through the tunnel. Then he looked and realized something wasn't right at all. Those rocks were not in place. And he heard kicking and bubbles rising from the rocks. Tim turned back around. He didn't even have time. He literally hurried up at the meeting point where the belongings were, what they were supposed to. He grabbed the phone as quick as possible and called emergency services. Really fast, the emergency services arrived. A perfect expert at swimming rushed in immediately. He did, however, also bring a heavy chainsaw. A chainsaw that he just dropped in the water where he would go. He was zooming. Since there was a clear emergency, the helper was also zooming with the chainsaw coming with him in front of him. They already whooshed the chainsaw to the main chamber. This person already had a tube inserted in his, in his suit. I mean, air thingy, so he didn't need any air pockets to be used. After 1 minute, the chainsaw was there, and the first responder was there. Little did he know that Bob unfortunately drowned. There was no movement at all. With his head, he turned on the chainsaw. It was an easy to use one. Then with his head, he pushed it, obliterating both of the rocks. Before breaking it, the chainsaw was after that revealed to this place, which was going up. Now, the expert diver had no more oxygen, so he took a deep breath. Yeah, he dragged Bob up from the limestone cave, and then they both pushed themselves up. There was no one else. And then Bob was rushed to the hospital, but unfortunately he did not make it out alive. The cave was now closed. This is another incident, but none of them survived and no one ever knew. Alex and James were both really excited to go to the same cave. However, this was 4 years later. This incident has happened. They already knew about all the cautions. They're really good. Our first person who went, of course, was Apple. Apple was a lot better at swimming. But there was no first people, because both of them zoomed in the cave. And they both wanted to go to the limestone. And because since then, the rocks were still gone. However, this incident was already at the entrance. James just banged in Alexander, breaking his bones. Alexander was zoomed. He already passed away by trauma. Alexander was literally zoomed and bashed onto the walls. Didn't make it out. He didn't know that, however. He used the oopsies. But then James hit the limestone. And then bang. James was injured, but it was already too late. The rock closed him in. He was in pain, but he couldn't move. He was now shaking. And he pushed himself so much that he did make it out. But he just zoomed an overhead start and crashed again before smashing. This was more of an accident, but no one made it out, and no one ever knew, except, however, one excellent diver who made the video. However, this video was deleted, of course, because of what he saw. him with his camera. He was an expert diver and he really knew lots about this cave. And he even passed the limestone cave. But since the incident happened, he never went in there. But then he found what happened. He tried to see what even closer, but then he saw there was no way of getting through. Right as he entered, he already in the video and exited and called investigators. But James and Alexander was removed and the cave was closed. And the cave had a literal sign saying, one person at once. Because all the time, because this will happen if you don't go at once. And yes, that is the end of the video.